experiencing side effects. She said her doctors advised her to stop taking the medication. Although she had secured visas for her treatment abroad, she said financial constraints held her back. There's also the two departed rest in peace. Now, we take the award residents in Juja sub-county are yet again in shock following another incident of hyena attack. This follows a Wednesday evening incident where a 5-year-old boy was mauled by hyenas on his way to shop around 7 p.m. at Nyekaba near Flat Village in Witethia, Juja, Kiambu County. The incident occurred on Wednesday evening, barely a fortnight after another man who was mauled by same predators along Mastor area near Juja Farm, where only a leg was found at the scene.
Usigonge gari tafadhali. Hiyo gari hakuna mahali umekosea. Mwenye gari si mwenye sisi.
Ngoja kidogo.
Haya, kuna mwenye alikuwa na information ya watoto wetu tukiona sisi.
Haya, mtulie kidogo.
Haya, tutulie.
Hatujabeba microphone. Haya, mama, hebu anza na majina yako, tuelezee tatizo liko wapi. Rudi nyuma kidogo tafadhali kwa sababu ya silence. Anza kwa majina yako mama.
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Ndubi Jahera. Naishi kwa hii kijiji ya Nyashafa. Na nilikuja hapa 1994 wakati kulikuwa kichaka na kulikuwa na visi, na hizo visi zilikuwa huku, zilikuwa zinakula watu kama wamekufa. Sasa hii visi imekuja wakati huu, hatujui zimetoka wapi, na juu sasa tunakuliwa watoto wetu, wamama wetu wamekuliwa, sisi tunakaa tukiwa na shida, hata watoto wakienda shule tunakuwa na shida. Mtu anafurahi akiona mtoto wake amerudi nyumbani, na sisi ndio tulichagua hawa wakubwa wako huku. Kama walichaguliwa na visi, sasa tunataka wakuje watuchukue juu sisi ni visi zao. Kwa hivyo hatutakaa na visi kwa kichaka. Kama ni visi na ikae, na sisi tuondolewe hapa, twende mahali tutaenda. Sisi tumechoka,
The National Police Service Commission has approved a salary increment for police constables, raising the basic monthly pay for entry-level officers from 21,000 to 25,000, a 4,000 shillings increase. The longest-serving constables with over 20 years of service will now earn between 50,000 and 69,640 shillings, depending on their progression through salary notches. Senior Assistant Inspector Generals have also received a salary hike, with their pay rising from 288,000 to 310,000 Kenyan shillings, with a maximum cap of 409,365 Kenyan shillings. Police officers serving in peacekeeping missions, such as in Haiti, have been granted equivalent salary increments and allowances.
However, in this delegation, determination and approval of decisions under delegated power remains exclusive with the National Police Service Commission. So there is a limitation to the delegation, and the Inspector General and the commanders have continued to exercise that delegation diligently and with a lot of caution, as it deserves. Allow me to mention a few updates on police salaries. One, the national government administration, under the leadership of His Excellency the President, you will recall, pledged to improve terms and conditions of service for police officers. In fulfillment of the promise and pledges, the government established the Maraga Task Force, whose recommendation include review and increase in police officers' salaries. Pursuant to this recommendation, and in accordance with the mandate of the National Police Service Commission, the Commission has reviewed and increased the salary of police constable from a basic salary per month at entry. At entry, we mean a fresh constable who have just left college. From Kenya shilling 21,645 to 25,645. This is equivalent to an increment of 4,000 higher. This implies, again, the longest serving police constable will earn a minimum monthly gross salary. This is gross including all allowances of Kenya shilling 50,145 up to a maximum of Kenya shilling 69,640.
Now, while we're still on the topic of police officers, Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli, however, made headlines for failing to attend a court summon for the 5th time. He was expected in a Nairobi court to explain the whereabouts of 3 men who went missing after being abducted in Kitengela. State Counsel requested Mr. Masengeli to be excused due to his attendance at the Mombasa International Show. Despite this, Justice Lawrence Mugambi has mandated Mr. Masengeli's presence in court by 3 p.m. today, warning of stern actions if he fails to comply. Meanwhile, this is where Masengeli was.
We've come to Mombasa Show. We've come to this stand of the National Police Service and just exhibit what the National Police Service is doing to ensure the public safety, the protection of life and property, and render safe Kenya. I would like to assure the Kenyans that the situation is calm, Kenya is secure, and normalcy is on. In regard to our borders, we have our officers manning the borders. All the security agencies deployed on those areas are doing their level best to ensure that safety and Kenya is secure. And this calls for all the security agencies as a multi-agency approach and in coordination with the local populace, the Mwananchi at those borders. We work hand in hand with them to ensure that safety and our Kenya borders are secure.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has highlighted the government's efforts to address the challenges faced by tea farmers, reflecting on the Kenya Kwanza team's 2022 pre-election economic forums. He emphasized the prioritization of key agricultural sectors, with tea being central to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Gachagua also pointed to the July 2023 Tea Reforms Conference, where critical resolutions were made to improve the tea sector, including enhancing research extensions, services, processing standards, and national branding, all aimed at increasing farmers' earnings. This was done during the celebration of the new appointed directors of the Kenya Tea Development Agency.
I look back with nostalgia to the pre-election period in 2022, when the Kenya Kwanza team went around the country conducting economic forums to collect public insights which informed the bottom-up transformation, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. A lot was said during those forums, and it is the wish of the people that will fulfill those promises. With limited resources, it is key to have priorities. Under the agricultural pillar, tea is one of the priority crop value chains that is selected. From the economic forums, the voice of our farmer was clear that farmers need more money in the pocket. Additionally, the Tea Reforms Conference held in Kericho in July 2023 was a first step in the continuation of this conversation. Together with the farmers, we agreed on key resolutions on what needs to change to this reform, to this subsector. These resolutions were farmer-centric in the spirit of the public participation requirement in accordance with our Constitution. The crucial resolutions were organized based on a value chain approach of production, processing, marketing, value addition, institutional, policy, and legal reforms. At a high level, under the production thematic area, the resolution centered on re-establishment of the Tea Research Foundation, farmer extension services, and soil testing.
Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, speaking at the same KTDA induction workshop for factory directors in Mombasa, emphasized the county's pivotal role in Kenya's tea industry despite not being a tea-growing region. He highlighted that Mombasa handles more tea than any other county, serving as a hub for blending and exporting tea globally. The governor also underscored the economic benefits the tea industry brings to the local economy, from employment to warehouses to increased demand for accommodation. He addressed challenges faced by the industry, particularly the high cost of production and packaging, which makes it difficult for Kenya to compete with global tea markets, including the Middle East.
I can comfortably say that Mombasa handles more tea than any county in this country. This is where our tea warehouses are. This is where tea is mixed for purposes of export. So we have tea from every part of this country coming into Mombasa. We even have tea for purposes of mixing that comes in from other parts of the world. And Mombasa is a preferred destination because of our geographical location. Mombasa is a preferred destination because, you know, not to add on top of it as well, you have a governor like Abdul Swamad that also adds value to that. But, Your Excellency, there is no doubt, after having said all that, that the interest of Mombasa in the tea industry is a direct impact on the economy of Mombasa. From the warehouses that are rented out, the staff that work in all these warehouses, the tea auction, from the various companies that do the mixing after having bought the tea, the premium tea from the KTDA and its farmers. You will even realize, Your Excellency, that even the hotels within the island of Mombasa, the sales have a direct impact on also the tea market. That means accommodation and everything else has a direct impact on the same. And I think ours is to try and facilitate and to try and assist as government. It would not be bad, Your Excellency. I want to congratulate the fact that we have subsidized fertilizer that is used on these very, very same farms. And probably, Your Excellency, in the same program that was being discussed about tractors being brought on board, it might not be a bad idea for the government to be able to invest in drones, in today's technology, invest in drones so that we can actually confirm that that fertilizer is optimized to its maximum.
Now, moving on, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Dr. Andrew Karanja, during the same event, congratulated the newly elected directors of small-scale tea factories under the KTDA. He emphasized the significant responsibility they bear in supporting over 800,000 smallholder tea farmers. Dr. Karanja outlined the government's key targets for the tea sector, including increasing farmers' earnings from 59 to over 90 Kenyan shillings per kg by 2027 and expanding the volume of value-added tea exports from 20 million to 235 million kilograms and doubling foreign exchange earnings from 180 billion Kenyan shillings to 360 billion Kenyan shillings.
I am delighted, Your Excellency, to join you this morning in this very important program of inducting newly elected directors of our smallholder tea factories managed by KTDA. And as we congratulate them, we note that they have a great responsibility to serve the smallholder farmers. And Your Excellency, following my appointment by His Excellency the President, my first stop was in Mombasa, because on 16th of August, I came here to discuss with the stakeholders on the best way forward in addressing some of the challenges of the unstored stocks at the tea auction. And when I was being vetted by the registrators, I promised them that we will be able to look at that issue and other issues affecting the tea sector. And it is good to note that tea is the largest subsector in my ministry. So I cannot keep my eyes off the tea sector. It is very important. It holds a great number of farmers, almost 800,000, and various stakeholders. So directors, we have a big responsibility, especially to our farmers, the 800,000 of them. So we share that same responsibility with you, and we walk the journey with you. I promise you that we will be together to make sure that the industry achieves its targets. What are the targets? I would like to share with you what are the targets from the national government, from where we stand. And as part of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which we call BETTER, tea is one of the value chains which we want to promote, and we have given priority.
Now on to the governors. Governor Waiguru has raised concerns over the significant disparity in funding between counties, urging the Senate and National Treasury to ensure that counties receive adequate resources. Speaking on the matter, Waiguru emphasized that county allocations should not fall below the amounts received in 2023, and instead that a minimum of 400 billion is necessary to sustain basic services. She appealed to the Senate and the national government to prioritize funding for essential county services, including water, health, trade, which are critical to the well-being of local communities.
Kwa sababu ya vile finance bill ilikuwa ilirudishwa, ile proposal tumepewa inapunguza zile pesa ambazo county zilikuwa nazo mwaka jana na bilioni 5. Yani wanatarajia kupatia county bilioni 380. Na ningependa kuhimiza ya kwamba tukifanya hivyo kutakuwa na huge problem of disparity in the counties. Yani county hazitaweza kutimiza ahadi zao kwa wananchi. Kwa sababu kama pesa za dawa zilikuwa zimetengwa alafu zikuwe zimepunguzwa, ni kuonekana ya kwamba dawa zile zitakuwa kwa county zitakuwa chini. Pia mishahara ya madaktari ilikuwa imeongezwa kwa sababu ya ile strike ambayo ilikuwa, na sasa pesa za county zimerudi chini. Mimi ningeomba Senate na pia National Treasury waangalie ya kwamba the minimum that the counties should receive should not go below what they had in the year 2023-2024. And indeed beyond that, the bottom line, it should be at the 400 billion ambayo ilikuwa minimum ya kufanya minimum basic services. So we urge the Senate and the national government, National Treasury, to look and consider the services ambazo zinafanywa na county government, which are very critical services. Services for water, services for health, services for trade, that we need to continue providing for the people of our counties.
Leaders from Murang'a have urgently called for the completion of the stalled 30 billion Kenyan shillings Mau Mau Road, highlighting severe infrastructure issues during a recent inspection. The inspection revealed significant challenges, including a broken bridge and inadequate temporary wooden alternatives. Despite a billion shilling allocated for the project, progress has stalled, prompting leaders to demand a clear plan and commitment from the contractor to ensure the road's usability. The leaders emphasized that areas like Kinga are effectively isolated due to the road's poor condition, and they urged the government to prioritize the road before initiating new projects.
Today we are inspecting the Mau Mau roads. We started very early in the morning. We started at Ikombe, we went to Karinga, then Kagodo. You know, that has been the biggest challenge we have in my area. Then we went to Kenyona all the way to the Mairi bridge, where it's broken and people are using a temporary wooden bridge that cannot even pass, any car cannot pass through there. And we had a meeting with the Director General of Kenya, and we agreed that we come today with the engineers and all the contractors, and they are all here to at least inspect the road and see how bad it is. We've been asking about the completion of this road for the last 2 years, and nothing seems to be happening. Now we know in the budget we got 1 billion shillings, and we are saying once that money is paid, because it's specifically for lot 2, it's given to the contractor, he must give us a plan, and we agree that the road must be passable all the way, because that is money enough that can be able to maintain the road, at least make it sustainable, and have people moving from one place to another. Because we have places that are islands as we speak. People like the people living in Karinga, they have no other route. They have no road. And it's totally unfair to have them do that.
The most important thing is the commitment of the government on this road, Mau Mau Road. We want to say that for us, we have not asked for anything else. We have just been calling upon the government, first of all, work on Mau Mau. Then we will give you the other priorities. Therefore, that the president is in China, I can hear their priorities that the government has put. Maybe Mau Mau is one of the priorities only that has not been mentioned. But we want, when the president comes here, and we work on supplementary on the parts that you will get, that Mau Mau will be one of the priorities. Because it will be not sensible when we start new projects, and yet we have Mau Mau here, which was led by the previous government, an important road, which is in a very economic area where we get tea and whatever, which is support the government, and yet we are going now to start another issues to do with SGR. We cannot be comfortable as the residents of Kangema and Kigumo when we hear that the priorities of government are now on other issues which have not started. Our priority as Kangema MP and Kangema residents is on Mau Mau. And I know that's what is it in Kegumo. First of all, they finished on this project because these roads were well maintained by farmers. But farmers now are suffering when the government came in and did all the earthworks and left the road.
In a significant move to address long-standing land disputes in Igembe, the government has issued 30,000 title deeds to local residents. This decision marks a pivotal step towards resolving historical conflicts over land ownership in the region. The issuance of these title deeds is expected to bring much-needed stability and clarity to property rights, benefiting countless families who have faced prolonged uncertainty. This initiative reflects the government's commitment to resolving land-related issues and enhancing security for local communities. The distribution of the title deed is part of a broader effort to tackle land disputes and ensure equitable access to land resources.
Miradi ya kama hii ya kupeana title deeds, miradi ya stima, kama sasa ukipata shedi zako kuwekewa stima itakuwa rahisi sana. Kweli si kweli? Mambo ya barabara itakuwa mzuri sana. Kweli si kweli? Hata mambo ya maji itakuwa sawa. Kweli si kweli? Hata kulima chakula ya kuuza na kukula si itakuwa mzuri, ndugu zangu? For over 60 years watu yetu ya kanuni hawana title deeds. Kumekuwa na viongozi hapa mbeleni. Sisi tumeamua lazima tuseme mashinda yetu. Kama hatuna maji tuseme hatuna maji. Kama hatuna stima tuseme hatuna stima. Kama hatuna barabara tuseme hatuna barabara. Kama hatuna title deeds tuseme hatuna title deeds. Ama namna gani watu wetu? Si hiyo ndio kazi yetu?
Na hiyo section D ambayo imezungumziwa hapa, Madam Waziri, imeweza kufanya watu wengi wapoteze maisha yao katika yale mashamba, sababu mashamba yanapimwa, watu wanaenda wanaingia huko tena, alafu kunakuwa na kesi zingine hapo, tunatatua kesi zinaisha, watu wanarundiza kesi pale tena, watu wanauawa, vijana wengine wanashikwa kwa makosa ambayo hawana sababu. Watu wengi wameweza kuishi katika yale mashamba, na ndio maana wamekuambia kuna kesi iliweza kuamuliwa. Na kwa hivyo kama vile ambavyo tumeweza kuzungumza hapo, ni tuweze kusaidia hawa ili tuweze kumalizana na hiyo shinda ya section D, na watu waweze kuwa na title zao na waweze kulima shamba zao bila kusumbuliwa na mtu yeyote.
Kwa sababu kwa hii kazi ya ardhi kuna wengi wale wambaya wakora, na nimewapatia onyo. Mimi nitafuatana na wao, niko na support nzuri ya rais wetu na principal secretary ako hapo ngangari, tufanye kazi na yeye.
That marks the end of EBN TV News at 1 for this Thursday. My name is Consolata Chibalonza. Thank you very much for keeping in company from start to the end. And until next time, God bless.